Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
But what do you need a semi-automatic weapon for? The only reason I think you need it is, Piers, challenge Alex Jones to a boxing match, show up with a semi-automatic that you got legally, and pop him.
I'd love to see that. In uniform.
Look at these little globalist pimps, these preening, sycophantic nobodies who haven't had an audience worth mentioning in years. Imploding, sinking into the bygone swamp like so many other extinct creatures that have been upon the face of this globe. They are not liberals and they are not the future. They are the opposite of Renaissance. They are the plague. And Piers Morgan, ladies and gentlemen, for all intents and purposes, has not had a show in about a year. When Larry King left, it had about 1.5 million to 2 million viewers a night in the U.S. Piers Morgan some nights had 350,000 viewers. That was on a low end, high end, 500,000. When I was on his show, he had 2 million viewers that night, 2.5 million the next night, 2 million the next night, 1.5 million the next night, a million, and then down to 500,000. What you saw him getting a ratings boost for a week or so was an explosion. An explosion like when a car blows up in a military operation, when a truck's coming down the road and a 50 cal with tracers opens up on its engine and hits the fuel tanks and the truck blows up. It's not winning when it blows up, throwing troops out of the back on fire and engine parts flying into the driver's face, killing them. It's exploding. It's burning. You can also liken it to a dead cat bounce. Piers Morgan fell and then he bounced. And they've got all these sniveling establishment media articles going, a lot of people want to take credit for taking him down. Chief amongst them, Alex Jones. Well, there are hundreds of articles out today. I went and looked at some of them, hundreds of them listed, saying that I am the main culprit, which I'm proud of. But listen, I don't want to take credit where credit isn't due. I am not responsible for the decline and fall of Piers Morgan, who never even rose. Mainstream dinosaur media is dying. And that's why Piers Morgan has no audience and none of their shows have any audience. And they're not going to have any audience. I don't care how many movie stars they parade on there. People want veritas. They want genuine. They want the bona fides. They want reality. They want the kings of reality, folks. And that's what we are. The king of reality. I am not the king of conspiracy theory. I am the king of reality. As I have said on the BBC and ABC News, you name it. You want to call me the king of something, I'm the king of trying to be truthful. I'm the king of wearing my heart on my sleeve. I'm the king of telling it like it is. And, I mean, listen, I at least have 3 million viewers and listeners a day. That's a conservative number. 3 million. InfoWars gets about 1 million visitors a day. Prisonplanet about 300,000. Our Facebooks combined have 3 million people on it, millions a day. See that? 250,000 on Twitter. I came to Twitter late. I'm not on some power trip. I'm not up here bragging how big I am. But these guys, it's all a Vanity Fair like the Emperor's New Clothes. You guys print me a synopsis of the Emperor's New Clothes. I want to cover that when I come back. It's the hoax that is dinosaur media. They're already dead. But the final domino to drop is the general public still goes, ooh, I saw you on Piers Morgan, or I saw you on Nightline. And I go, did you really see me on Nightline? Well, no, I was watching an ABC show and saw a promo for it. That's right, you don't really watch Nightline. It has like 1 million viewers now. Used to have like 10 million. You didn't really watch me on Piers Morgan, did you? No, I saw you on Jay Leno when they played a clip. Or Conan, or all those shows. It was only big because there was real challenge, real controversy, real debate. I didn't play along with the script of debating his phony talking points. I came in and said, shut up, enemy. You want to enslave us. You're on notice, scum. You redcoat bastard. And people loved it. At first, they said it was a great defeat for me. Whenever you have a big win, they say you're defeated. Remember that. We'll be back. They're now saying that Obamacare is going to quintuple your cost. Everything is wonderful. Everything is cool when you're part of the trendiness of Obama. Everything is cool. When you're part of a moron group that's been conned. Everything is awesome when you sign on to the Nigerian email, believing you're going to get $1 million if you give them $1,000. And they never even admit you've been conned, even after you send them the $1,000. Well, it's the same thing with Obama. As we play the Lego movie theme here, everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Why shouldn't I just be positive? Let them shut down our power plants, ship our jobs overseas, pay $20 million to ship General Motors to China. Everything is awesome. Obama cares about me. And so do the Republican leaders working with him to go after the Tea Party and shut down those evil racists. Thank God JCPenney's banned that teapot that somebody looked at and thought they saw a Hitler mustache on. I think if you see a cloud that looks like Hitler, they should blow the whole earth up just to stop there being a cloud that looks like Hitler in the sky. I think it's great they're teaching 2 + 2 = 5 in school. I love Common Core because everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a cult. I mean, a government worshiping group. The truth is, though, almost no one is buying into the system now, and the approval rating of the establishment is plunging. And we're at that Rubicon crossroads right now where the dinosaur mainstream state-run media, offshore banker-run media, George Soros-controlled media is teetering on the edge of total collapse. It's been collapsing for a long time, but now the public knows it's sinking beneath the waves, and the average show on MSNBC or CNN has less viewers than a weekday radio show or a morning radio show in a major city. I happen to get the ratings and see the ratings from different cities we're on the radio in, and I can look at morning shows, say in Austin, Texas, that have upwards of 80 to 100,000 people listening every 15 minutes. Tuning in and out, and over a 3-hour period could have 200, 300,000 listeners. Piers Morgan on a bad night had 350,000, on a good night had 500,000. So this is nationwide, worldwide, less than 500,000 viewers. This is literally a hoax. This is literally a fraud. And it's turned out that CNN, MSNBC have been caught. In fact, guys, print this. In rigged ratings with Nielsen on cable. Just type in Nielsen caught faking cable ratings to try to beat Fox a few years ago. Fox actually does have 3 or 4 million viewers on average. Still not that big of a deal. But that's like Mount Everest compared to a hill in ratings when you talk about MSNBC or something like CNN. And by the way, Dylan Ratigan on MSNBC had the highest ratings on the channel because he would attack both parties and talk about a foreign banking takeover and how we're being looted. And yell and scream. And it wasn't fake. He was allowing himself to get angry, but it was real passion. And so they didn't renew his contract because he had high ratings. And it's the same thing with what I'd call more of a real liberal, somebody like Donahue, who had 4 million viewers when they axed him in MSNBC a night. Same thing with Ventura. Ventura had almost 4 million viewers, #2 show on MSNBC. But he wasn't partisan. He was really libertarian. So they gave him golden handcuffs and paid him off $3.5 million a year of his 4-year contract. And they came to him and they said, stop bashing the Democrats and stop bashing the Republicans and stop bashing the war, because the war was getting started then. And he wouldn't shut up. So they said, fine, we're going to pay your contract out, but you can't do media for the rest of the 4 years of your contract. That's how this works, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I don't want to be on CNN. If I was offered the CNN Piers Morgan slot, I would only do it because it would be a giant stunt when I wouldn't compromise and would get huge ratings. I'm telling you, I would have 15 million viewers guaranteed a night, huge phenomenon within 2 months. The first night I premiered, I would have 2 million. I bet my life on it. And the executives at CNN, Time Warner, Comcast, they know that. They all know that. They all understand that. They know what sells. I've met with the heads of BBC, True TV, Travel Channel, A&E, History Channel, Discovery Channel, and they point blank go, oh, no, we know. This is like 6, 7 years ago that gun shows would take over. They finally bit on it, limited, not with me, and notice their big hits. They go, we know redneck stuff is popular, in their words. We know pro-Christian stuff is popular. And I told all these executives this 10 years ago. I told all these executives this 7 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. And look at the Bible on cable, 15 million viewers. Their other hit show, 2 million. A hit show's 2 million on cable. Look at Duck Dynasty, 10, 15, 20 million viewers a show on A&E, whose other hit shows have 1 million. And by the way, I was pitched on A&E 4 years ago, and I used to go to LA all the time and have these worthless meetings in New York. And they're like, we want you to run around with hillbillies hunting and chew tobacco and you know, basically act like a fool. And I said, I'm not doing it. The point is that they need us. We don't need them, ladies and gentlemen. Sci-Fi Channel pitched me a show every night live that would be in the studios here, but they would come and have me do it in the studio in Austin, and then I would have all these guests on. The problem is I'd have to do chupacabras, Bigfoot, space aliens, and then I could do what I wanted in between that would just discredit it. And I'm not knocking my buddy Joe Rogan. He basically got that show and went and did it, and good for Joe. I mean, it was like, but I see these shows. Like I was offered by Court TV that became True TV. It was going to be called American Conspiracy. That's what Ventura called his book. And then they went and pitched it 4 years later to Ventura, and Ventura did it. But a guy from the BBC, an American programmer from the BBC, there's even a trailer out there for it that we released called American Conspiracy. He said, I'll go ahead and release it on YouTube. If that guy's YouTube, that's like a minute long. It's called American Conspiracy with Alex Jones. 4 years before Ventura's show, Conspiracy Theory, which was going to be called American Conspiracy. And with Ventura, they at least allowed enough real topics that I was part of the show and was happy to be part of it. And I'm not up here bragging. I'm telling you how media works and giving you inside baseball. I was offered Ventura's show when he quit after the 3rd season because he didn't like the topics. Yeah, Ventura quit. That would not do a 4th season. He was offered a 4th season. It was a hit show. But you could see by the 3rd season, it was going off the deep end into humanzees and, you know, chupacabras and vampires and crap, and which is entertaining and fine, and I'm not knocking that. But I'm not going to do it, and Ventura's not going to do it. So let's just get this straight. To the literal hundreds of news articles today, and a bunch of them are like, Alex Jones did hurt Piers Morgan, but he wishes he had a CNN show. No, I don't wish I had a CNN show. I have a show with millions of viewers and listeners. I get to reach out, unfettered, uncensored, and talk to people. You understand that? I know for a fact people like, because I've read about it in the news, Matt Drudge has been offered all these TV shows and radio shows and doesn't do them because he understands the old media is a joke now, and you're almost discredited even working with it or being around it. You get the smell of it off on you. We're on Roku, we're on Boxy, we're on all these different platforms, and we're in the top, number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4 of every media platform out there in news and politics. Without promotion, without me getting up here on air and plugging it, without anything, by osmosis, we are dominating every free open platform. And I don't even care about dominating except that I want to get the word out. It's old hat, man. I've been on air 19 years. I've already done this a lot. For me, it's all personal, about liberty and freedom and about having a future for my children. It is not about eating at fancy New York restaurants. It is not about hanging out with celebrities. It is not about kissing the butt of Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan, folks, was a joke last year. When I went on his show, he'd already been on 2 years, and he'd gone from 2 million viewers when Larry King passed off the baton to 600,000. It was 300-something thousand when he left. Folks, that is the equivalent of not having a pulse. And I told you, I'd been in CNN Broadcast Center many times before. It was nice. It was rotting with the light bulbs burned out, with feces sprayed all over the walls in every bathroom. I thought they put me in a gross bathroom on purpose, and I'm not a neat freak either, but I went down to the other bathroom and started checking, and they were dirty too. And everybody looked disheveled with big circles around their eyes and beaten. And I announced here on air, CNN is dead. And you notice they're leaving news now. They're falling apart. They're tanking across the board. I told you last January, 13 months ago, CNN is dead. Did I lie to you? No, I didn't lie to you. Not everything is wonderful. Not everything is cool when you're part of a Jim Jones cult that follows talking points. Piers Morgan is an arrogant nobody. And I went in there and called his bluff and said, look, you're a traitor trying to take this country over and disarm us, and I'm calling you out, scum. Don't insult me and claim you don't want to disarm us. Everywhere you people get control, you take all the guns. Shut up. You know what Paul Revere would have done with running through with a short sword. But that's because he's a radical. I'm a radical for just yelling at him. Oh, my gosh, don't yell at him. Oh, that's discrediting. No, that's how we win a war, is getting in their face, having the initiative, and smashing these people. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
It's time to kick some.
Piers Morgan isn't number 1. He's not number 2. He's not number 10. Piers Morgan is fired. Piers Morgan is gone. He'll probably, in some face-saving event, to have a monthly magazine show, I predict, on CNN that's now basically going to cooking shows and entertainment, because people know that they have an agenda of fraud and deceit and anti-liberty. Everything that's pro-God, pro-gun, pro-family is exploding in value. Everything that's anti-God, guns, and guts, and family is going down in value. But it doesn't matter. You've got the hijacked government with all the trendy followers who don't even get their news from news. They get their news from the culture. And that's the final domino to fall, is the movies and the sitcoms and the dramas, where Obama is now mainly focusing. And Paul Watson's doing an article on that right now titled, Obama is Taking Over Late Night Television. And that's where you've got all the pro-Obama stuff and the Obama visits and the Michelle Obama stuff. They're targeting the young people, the yuppies, who literally don't even get their news from news. Because that's the process. First, they discredit news by taking it over in the last few decades and turning it into propaganda. Now that they're done with it, we go right to White House press releases and right to propaganda and product placement and propaganda placement, what they call behavior placement, inside of the cartoons, the movies, the dramas. So you turn on movies and the gun owners are child molesters. You go watch a cartoon, the bad guys are tri-quartered hat terrorists. They're going to blow up the dam, and Green Lantern has to stop them. You go turn on Breaking Bad, and the meth head is a Ron Paul fan. Every single show has an anti-freedom bent until the last year. Suddenly, those shows aren't doing as well, the ones that have an anti-liberty bent, and I'm seeing more of a freedom, libertarian slant, as they would call it. So there's a real revolution of awakening, especially in the intelligentsia. The system may have 40% of the population totally ignorant, totally dumb, ready to buy anything they're told. Everything is awesome. Everything's cool when you're part of a team. They want tripling and quadrupling of their Obamacare prices. They love every screw job that comes along. They think they're winners. Those people don't count because they're not intellectuals. They're not part of society. When you get into intellectual society, left, right, center, I don't care what it is, people don't like the Republican leadership. They don't like the Democratic leadership. They don't like the establishment. They don't, I mean, I'm talking about rich people, folks, don't like the stagnation and don't like the select corporations that are tax exempt, like Google and Microsoft and General Electric and Warren Buffett and all the rest of them. They really are starting to understand the message that it isn't just rich and poor. It's nouveau riche and renaissance and entrepreneurs and the working class and the middle class versus the insider technocrats who literally control the money machines and the issuance of money. And the fact that whether it's MSNBC or CNN, it doesn't matter, or Al Gore's Current TV, they are all in total ratings freefall. So why do we get so excited when we're on their shows? Why is it so prestigious when the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times calls? Folks, I've had the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times call, you name it, and want to do profiles, and I say no. And they say, we are the New York Times, we are New Yorker Magazine, we are the on and on and on. And I said, even if you wrote a positive piece, your editors won't let you publish it, A. B, you don't matter anymore. Well, even the New York Times editorial board came out and said, we aren't relevant, we aren't pertinent, no one is listening to us, we cannot cause any debate. When I was in the New York Times for the first time, like 18 years ago, and I was in it a bunch of other times, I would have NPR call, all these other channels going, you were in the New York Times, how does it feel to make it? Because to them, and it wasn't even a big deal 15 years ago, they just still thought it was a big deal. And that's all it was good for, to go on Fox and CNN, was that affiliates would pick us up because, oh, we'd arrived, even though there weren't big audiences there. Or sponsors would spend money with us and then get a result, but they would trust us to make a big purchase just because they'd seen me on CNN. But that was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. We literally, like the space shuttle with its rocket boosters falling off, we don't need you, you're gone, you're empty. Bye-bye, bye-bye, you're empty. You're a joke. Now, they're going to counter-strike, and I'm going to talk about this when we come back from break, against the real media, the new media, the independent media. We got to stick together. The battle's far from won, but we are winning this round. And if we have the initiative, get the eye of the tiger, get really aggressive, open a big can of whoop booty, and just get in there and start attacking with the truth, we're going to beat them. They're going to hit the ground. They're never going to get back up. We're real close to slitting their throat ear to ear. And that tongue ain't going to flap anymore once we pull it out. Stay with me. We'll be right back. Recognize that the globalists are criminals using high-tech mind control and PR. Recognize them as the enemy.
Defending the Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic.
That's right.
It's Alex Jones.
Defending the Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic. You know, it's a cheesy song, but it's only cheesy because you're embarrassed when you turn it up in your car. Crank it up. Rising up. That's what's happening. Not going to stop. The eye of the tiger. Identify the enemy. Commit to bringing them down. Never. Bottom line, though, they didn't want to win. Only the truth could set CNN free. Only covering real issues. They'd have 15 million viewers a night on Piers Morgan, like the Bible series had, that was wholesome and good. They'd have 15 million viewers a night like Duck Dynasty if they were real. People want what's real. They don't want what's fake, Piers. And by the way, you speak of Eye of the Tiger. You're the ones talking about how you want to kill me, and then how Piers Morgan would dress up in a uniform to kill me, and they've got the ambassador's tart daughter up there promoting all this. You know, I'm not kidding, Piers. It would have saved your show if you'd have been man enough with you and Buzz Bissinger at the same time to take me on with gloves, because you're a coward, or bare knuckles, in the ring. I mean, I'm not kidding. You'd have 50 million viewers for something like that. You could have pay-per-view and raise $50 million for Haitian relief or whatever, $1 per viewer. Guaranteed. You hype that up for a month, you'd have tens of millions of viewers, literally, but you don't understand it, do you? And I would have gotten that ring and stomped you into the ground. You and Buzz Bissinger, who want to sit around talking about how you want to kill me with a gun. That's right. You want the guns. You want to take the guns from us, ladies and gentlemen. So I stood up to the challenge. I said, oh, you want to kill me? How about you get in the ring? And you never took the challenge, did you, Piers? We got, what was it, 1 million signatures when it was finally said and done to deport your fat butt out of the U.S.? All we needed was 25,000? Because, again, you don't have a First Amendment right to come here and call for my rights to be taken. You don't like this country, get out of it. And that's what Jay Leno told you behind the scenes. I was told by his head producer that Jay Leno went back on that episode where Jay Leno played clips of me and talked about it and said, hey, you know, the problem is, he said this on air too, but he said, listen, you're not an American and people don't like you being anti-gun on air. So I suggest you back off of it if you want to be popular. And of course he didn't. He thought he could teach us Yanks a thing or two, just like his ancestors did in 1776. And hey, here's the deal. You're the one that isn't standing anymore, buddy boy. I never had a big Time Warner, AOL, $100 billion company to put me on air. I never had all that type of stuff. I had nothing. I think my dad loaned me like $20,000 over the first year when I first did my Access show, and then luckily got a local radio show. That's the reality here, ladies and gentlemen, of what has happened and what has unfolded. And notice the media came out and said the pro-gun people are discredited Alex Jones has discredited us, and they have the Democrats all saying that because if everybody started acting like me, getting aggressive, getting back in their face, going, I'm not having a debate with you. This is my right. It lowers crime to own guns. You want victim disarmament. Stop acting like you don't want to take guns. Here's Dianne Feinstein's quote. Everywhere you people are in control, you take the general public's guns. This is a mafia criminal takeover. The psychotropic drugs you promote on this show with your sponsors are what are connected to people in mass shootings. Why don't you admit that? I'm calling you out. If you want a civil war, enemy, you're going to get one, Redcoat. Don't make the mistakes your ancestors made. Straight talk, folks. Straight talk. And it was an absolute devastating victory to arrogantly speak in a British accent to him, to arrogantly get back in his face. Nothing against British people, to just be clear on that. Talking about Piers Morgan, who's loathed in England. To let him know that I could speak in a voice like this as well and be condescending. And they admitted to me when I saw him in Houston, and his producer, they said, no, we wanted you back on. We understand record ratings, but it's been decided that you shouldn't be given that much attention. You mean the explosion it caused, which makes me more powerful and hurts you. You don't want to go in the ring in that explosion with me. Because I've got the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and common sense on my side. I'm the Iron Man compared to you, buddy. And I'm ready to go in a room with 1,000 pounds of TNT and have you push the plunger down. But you crawled out of that explosion and were actually dead on arrival. And so you thought you'd have other people on to have fake debates with them, and they cleaned your clock as well. You kept looking for pro-gun people that you could beat. And the truth is you lost on your own home turf, the intellectual battle, and now Piers Morgan has had his show canceled. But you canceled your show the day you decided to push anti-liberty, unpopular agendas. But see, the big banks can print unlimited trillions, so they don't care about the money. But see, there's a problem. They don't have the ratings, though. And now the facade that they had ratings, the facade that they were the big media, the facade that they were in the 20-story buildings in downtown New York and 30-story buildings, the facade that they were the audience and they were the market, it's all over. It's all over. And when it's all said and done, there's not going to be a Fox News to speak of because their audience is dying, quite literally. But it'll be the last standing. CNN, MSNBC, they're all going to go to the way of the dodo bird. They're all going to go the way of the saber-toothed cats. They're all going to go the way of the woolly mammoth and the mastodon and the brachiosaur and triceratops and megalodon, the super shark. You're all going the way. And there might still be an occasional coelacanth caught off the coast of Madagascar. But for all intents and purposes, you are extinct. Stick a fork in your degenerate, vampiric butt because you are done. You are over. It's done. Every poll, every metric, every number, 6% approval rating for Congress, 19% approval rating for mainstream media on the high end, 16 on the low end. You're gone. You're over. You're dead. And the last few liberal, wannabe, well-meaning bleeding hearts that bought into your cosmology because they really do care, they're going to wake up as they're betrayed very, very quickly. And the Republican leadership that thinks they're going to block the Tea Party and the Libertarian Revolution, you're done too. No amount of false flags, no amount of stage terror, no matter how big the war is. This stuff doesn't work anymore. The tricks don't work anymore. It's like a heroin addict that's shooting 100 times what they were shooting 10 years before. And no matter how big the dose, it's just never as good as it was. And soon you're just going to OD on your false flags and your propaganda and your race baiting and your condescension and all of your garbage. Nothing can put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And Piers Morgan never fell. Piers Morgan never arrived. He was a hoax from the beginning. And I happen to know that the Time Warner programmers are fully aware that if they put someone like me on, I would have 2 million viewers the first night. I would have 5 million in 2 weeks, 10 million in 3 weeks, 15 million in a month. It would go up to 20 million if they let me say what I wanted and have the guest on. It would shake up the whole country. And then, what would they do? Well, because that would upset the entire apple cart. People are hungry for all of that. They're hungry to get the country back. They're hungry. But see, the establishment, it isn't about ratings. It's about the illusion that they are the establishment in their suits, sitting back in an English accent. That will impress the country bumpkins and flyover country. No, it doesn't impress the country bumpkins. And I called the hoax what it was. A red coat snake, hacking scandal fraudster who publishes fake photos in newspapers of troops urinating on people. That's Piers Morgan. I called him out as the fraud and the scamster he was. And they had guys with their fist bowed turning red, threatening me in front of Rob Dew that I better get out or I would have trouble with their security people. And I looked at all of them and laughed at them and I said, I beat you. And I said, go ahead. Do something to me and see what happens. I'll kick your asses right now, I told CNN. I will beat your ass. I told their security people right there going out the door. Rob Dew was there. I was like, go ahead, tough guys. Bow your fist up. Get in my face. Do something. You see, you can't win. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to crush you. I'm going to bring you down with the American people. We are together. We have the eye of the tiger. We have the vision. We are going to bring you down. Myself, the American people, the people that love liberty. We got a hold of you, and we're not letting go. We don't care. We may go down with you, but you're going down. Do you understand that? And you can't stand up against a spirit like that. We see you. Look at you. 350,000 viewers on average on their top shows in prime time. You are pathetic. No one wants to watch you. No one wants to listen to you. No one wants to hear what you have to say. You are scum. You are failures. You are done. You are so... You know what you're like? It's like I get invited out sometimes to movie premiere parties and stuff, and the directors will be cool. The producers are all cool, down-to-earth artists. But you'll have like mid-level actors that played mid-level parts in the movie who'll be there, and they'll be real arrogant to everyone and talk about how powerful they are and be rude to people and yell at the guy at the door, do you know who I am, and all this stuff. And it's exactly what you see with mainstream media. These are people that couldn't make it in showbiz. These are people that couldn't make it in movies. These are people that couldn't do it, so they went into media, and they literally, cold-bloodedly look at what the establishment wants, and they will put out whatever the establishment orthodoxy is that they think is going to get them ahead in this world. And I've used the porn analogy. Women in porn in its golden era 30 years ago could make $5 million a year. Look it up. I've seen documentaries on it. $5 million. $5 million. The equivalent of about $15 million today. Do you know what top porn people make now? Maybe $500,000 a year. The average person in porn, women that look like Marilyn Monroe, make about $2,000 per shoot. And they've got to do incredibly despicable stuff. There's whole Wall Street Journal articles on it, you name it. That's who you people are that sold out to the establishment. Every farm girl in America went to L.A. thinking they were going to be a movie star, thinking they had to be fulfilled. And when they got there, they said, sorry, all we got is porn, honey. And there was a glut of young women and men ready to do whatever it took until everybody sold out. And so the whole industry imploded. And it's the same thing with you people in mainstream media. You were such pliant lapdogs to the corporate executives that just want the public distracted while they loot the country with derivatives and bring in a police state, that you sold your country out, your birthright, your future, and your job to where CNN gets $500,000 or $400,000 per episode to put out positive news reports on Qatar in the Arab Emirates. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Totally discredited, total jokes. You all sold out to the Nazi Party. You know, you got the Nazi Party early on. You got some power out of it if you survived the purges. But by the end, 1943, 44, 45, you didn't get anything by being in the Nazi Party. And you guys have all piled on to the Republican blue blood system. You've all piled on to the Democrat sellout system. And you're like hookers that'll turn a trick for $10, folks. You've driven the market down to nothing, and then you sit there in your fake arrogance, pointing your finger at somebody like me who 22 years ago got politically active, 19 years ago on air, who came up from an organic position of real love of liberty, really wanting to defend private property, the family, the Second Amendment, national sovereignty, really wanting to have a future, wanting to be honorable. And you can laugh at it, you can make fun of it. It's in your head. It's all delusion. You are the Emperor's New Clothes. I want to read you the Emperor's New Clothes before I play a compilation of Piers Morgan clips on his gravestone before he gets indicted for all his crimes in England. The Emperor's New Clothes is a short tale by Hans Christian Andersen, who wrote The Little Mermaid, about two weavers who propose an emperor a new suit of clothes that is invisible to those unfit for their position, stupid or incompetent. And we can Google the term Emperor's New Clothes and show folks some of the images from online. When the emperor parades before his subjects in his new clothes, a child cries out, but he isn't wearing anything at all. The tale has been translated into over 100 languages. And the weavers, you know, they're charging an equivalent of millions of dollars per outfit. They say only the noble can see it. Well, he looks like he's in his underwear, but he doesn't want to say he can't see it. No one wants to call him out. They're all part of the fad. But finally, a 3-year-old steps up and says the emperor is naked. And everybody starts laughing. And that's all I've done, like Toto, pull the curtain back to show the great and powerful Oz is a little guy wearing no clothes. And that is exactly what's going on with Benghazi and Solandra and Fast and Furious and just all of this. These people, I mean, Obama lied about Obamacare. He lied about NDAA, about Patriot Act. He made Bush look like an honest person. He made Clinton look good. And we're sitting here with him parading around with Hillary as our next, you know, oh, it's a woman, as the next empty Emperor's New Clothes fad. And that's what this is literal fraud, empty vapor. And now that it's being discovered that there's no responsiveness, like a cult paying dues to keep the facade up, Lockheed Martin, Archer Daniels Midland, Monsanto, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, big pharma ads are on CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, Fox as well. And that's all they've got is defense contractor ads so they don't do negative reports on them, and big agra ads so they can take over the farms. And it's literally a payoff. And it's a total facade, like a fake Western town out in Hollywood. Ever gone out to Hollywood and they have the facade towns? You get the tour of the back lot at Warner Brothers or whatever, and you see all those Western towns you saw in movies as a kid, and there's nothing behind them. It's a facade. And I'm just here saying it's a facade. Doesn't mean I have all the answers. Doesn't mean I'm a perfect person. Doesn't mean I'm accurate 100% of the time. But generally, I'm telling the truth. I try to tell the truth. We have a much better accuracy level than dinosaur kleptocrat media. And we are now here at the crossroads as everything alternative is exploding. We are the media. We're not the alternative. We are more important than dinosaur media that has shown itself bought and paid for. And we have to stop bowing and worshiping and, oh, my God. You know, I mean, I've been in major movies. I've been on every major channel. I've been in every major magazine, newspaper. I mean, it doesn't mean anything, folks. It isn't anything. I'm telling you, to be on drudgereport.com or to be on a big syndicated show like Coast to Coast or my own is 1,000 times the effect of going on CNN. That's what I'm telling you. They're dead. They're over. Coming up in the next hour, I'm going to get into more serious news, but we are breaking down the fall of the mainstream dinosaur media. Games are over. Putin guaranteed is going to move hardcore into Ukraine with the Soros-backed EU takeover, overthrowing an elected government. And I'm not romanticizing who was in power. It's a tug of war between Russia and the West, but the West is the metastasizing cancer right now. So it's the same bankers that run the EU that want my guns and want to dumb down my children and want to put GMO on my plate. So, you know, they're our enemy. And so that's the bottom line. We're going to look at that. FDA weighs the risk of 3-person embryonic fertilization. That is so nightmarish. Polio-like illness found in 5 California children. You know, most of these new, quote, polio diseases, they admit in the BBC even, in India and Africa, are caused by the vaccine. And I bet if you research this, it's a vaccine-induced nerve situation. A lot of the inserts, talk about it causing neurological disorders. There it is. Bill Gates, 47,500 cases of paralysis. Untested vaccines cause new wave of polio paralysis across India. If you scroll down to the bottom of that article, it has a bibliography of mainstream news that is reporting all of that. So that's there it is, the Tribune reporting on it, and the Telegraph in India. So there you go, folks. You get the shot, you get paralyzed. But they go, oh, but we don't call it polio. We call it something else. It's like whooping cough. People in California keep getting it from the vaccine. And the vaccine says it can do that to you. But then you go into the doctor and they go, there's no side effects. You go, really, can I see the insert? You get the insert and it says neurological disorders, seizures, Guillain-Barré, narcolepsy, epilepsy, death, autoimmune disorders, cancer. You said there wasn't any side effects. It's incredible. So that's coming up. But just to be clear, to give credit where it's due, Piers Morgan never got any ratings and sunk from the beginning like a guy with bowling balls tied to his feet in the North Atlantic because he was an establishment shill. And people are sick of being lectured by pointy-headed, know-it-all, liberal, trendy control freaks using psych warfare that are literally just angling to enslave this country. Here's a headline from NextGov. Cost of Obamacare contract has at least quintupled to run the scam websites. New York Times cartoon suggests climate change deniers should be stabbed to death. And they're calling for Krauthammer to be fired from the Washington Post for daring to criticize global warming. Because they're liberals, you know. In Michigan, the guy, the congressman running for Senate, publicly is trying to shut down TV channels that run an ad with a constituent talking about how she lost her doctor under Obamacare. And he promised he wouldn't. But it's on record people are losing their doctors. Hey, their answer is, we'll just take your FCC license and put monitors in your media organizations. You know what? FCC, let me just give you a little news flash. Go to hell. How's that sound? Okay? You have no jurisdiction over my operation that is not broadcasting, and you know it. And I don't use profanity and things, so you have no jurisdiction over our affiliates. And even the FCC chairman has said this is an abomination. I'm talking about Obama has seized the FCC and doesn't even care what the chairman says. So I'm talking about Obama's FCC can go jump in the lake, as they say, to use a fathers know best type line. So that's all coming up as well, ladies and gentlemen. Obama's approval rating sinks to all-time low abroad, Politico reports. Well, why don't they just take Politico's license? Oh, you don't have a license to write, do you? Dianne Feinstein's called for licenses to be able to write. How about I'll write whatever I want, you disgusting witch, you authoritarian piece of trash? By the way, folks, how about you vote with your dollars and go to InfoWarsStore.com and get the Molon Labe, the best Molon Labe come and take it shirt out there. It's so powerful. Bestseller, continues to sell out, but we have more in stock. And the women's T-shirts just came in today with the gold foil. Those are going up in hours, the women's Molon Labe. And then we've got the InfoWarsLife.com to protect it just energizes the whole body, the Nation Iodine, and all your purchases make the broadcast possible. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139.
Thank you for listening to
Second hour. We are now into hour number 2. We got contacted by the Fox Brothers Studios, who put out Conrad the Constitution. And the Secret Service has been calling their family members and says they're coming to visit them. They did a satire piece where Obama is assassinated. And I'm going to be playing that piece and giving you my take on it. Obviously, I don't want the president to ever be assassinated. I want him to be slowly destroyed like Piers Morgan and discredited and then later arrested for his crimes, which will probably, you heard it here first, I think Piers Morgan will get indicted over in Albion back in Britannia. Because he was running, the evidence, I believe, is overwhelming, a hacking scandal, running a lot of sinister activities over there that make News Corps' activities pale in significance. But definitely he failed when it came to ratings. But they emailed McAdoo, Leanne McAdoo, and said, hi, guys. They're coming on at the bottom of the next hour. Alex wanted me to forward to you. We're trying to get them on the radio show regarding this. Oh, this is Leanne forwarded it. I was reading that part. Here it is. Hi, Leanne. Just wanted to let you guys know the Secret Service has been in contact with my family and is coming to interview me sometime about our latest episode. If I end up disappearing, you'll know why. Thanks, Leanne. To Leanne. That's Tim Fox. So we're going to get them on the show and find out exactly what they meant by this video. It's clearly satire. Conrad's having a dream. It's of the Lincoln Theater. There's been a bunch of movies that came out where Bush was killed, and it was a good thing. Death of a President was one of them. That was produced in Canada. They have comedians that would talk about killing Bush. You know, they would show Bush as a vampire and stuff, and then people showed Obama as a vampire, and they said it was racist. But I want to be clear. A false flag they could run would be an attempted assassination of Obama, or the globalists aren't beneath actually killing him. I've said many times I believe Obama could be the false flag. But I'm going to recap all that at the bottom of the hour when I play Conrad the Constitution. The latest episode of Don Salazar just posted it up on Infowars.com right now. And then I've got Paul Watson's new top story that is so important. In fact, there's a video with it. We might as well just play his video report as well. Paul said it probably better than I. It's good to have David Knight and Paul Watson and folks that are actually up to snuff to host this show. And Jakari's close, doing a great job with his reports. It's hard to be able to actually get up here and host a 3-hour show. I think I may throw him in the deep end soon and have him do it. Darren McBreen could do it, but he's too shy sometimes, too much of a perfectionist. He does a great job when he hosts the news. I wish Darren would do it more. He's a great graphics guy as well. But Leanne, I think Leanne's getting close to be able to host the show. Maybe we should have one day in here with David Knight where he does 3 hours and then has each of them in for an hour with a group of topics they want to cover, 10 minutes at a whack. Because it's not like they're going to segue into just doing a regular local show with, 5,000, 10,000 listeners. This is 1 million listeners or more an hour. And I don't want to make them nervous. It's so crazy. I can get up in front of a crowd of like 5,000 people and not even be nervous. And it's actually not a good thing because the few times I do get nervous is when I actually am more eloquent and give a better oratory display of the repertoire of information in our political discourse in the larger human congress of exchange of ideas in the transformative animating contest of liberty in an attempt to set brush fires in the minds of men and women everywhere. Because that is the animating contest of liberty, to which I am like a hound on the hunt forever, energized with sparkle in my eyes and a frosty, frisky jolt in my step as I lunge forward out of the gates. All right, we will continue straight ahead with a ton of news. What do you think of old Piers Morgan being gone? I want to open the phones up and ask, will you cry tonight for your darling little snot-nosed redcoat king? Will you sit in a fetal position crying? What will Buzz Bissinger, who admits he spends hundreds of thousands a month on women's clothing? I think that's fine. In which he then festoons himself with guns and dreams of killing me. All right, folks, we are back live now into the second hour. And I want to open the phones up so you can give us your take on the death of mainstream media, the death of state-run media. Now, CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, they're all dead now. They admit no one listens to them. They can't cause a debate. They can't stir any discussion. The Pentagon, the White House bemoans that things like DrudgeReport.com, Infowars.com are actually able to shape debate, get people to actually look at certain topics. We had Bill Maher on Friday freak out and attack Matt Drudge and say how dare him be able to get people to look at certain news items and bemoan that the reason we can't fix America is because of all the horrible stuff that Matt Drudge is linking to. That shows how they've literally gone to the throwing fits over the fact that their audiences are dwindling. The problem is there's still a good audience for sitcoms, dramas, children's cartoons, entertainment, NFL football. And that's where you've got the anti-gun, pro-Obamacare, anti-family garbage. And there's an article that just went up on Infowars.com by Paul Joseph Watson with a video report titled Obama Seizes Control of Late Night Television. And when you go into the article, Watson breaks down the recent replacement of Jay Leno with Obama cheerleader Jimmy Fallon as part of a White House coup d'etat to take control of late night television. With more and more young Americans deserting news networks and getting their information and opinions from late-night comedy discussion shows, the establishment is moving into using the entertainment industry as its primary conduit for state propaganda. Distrust in the institution of television news is hovering at an all-time low, which is why one of the few places left with the White House to elicit a sympathetic response to its agenda and talking points is cozy, make-believe world of late-night television. While Barack Obama is pursuing a chillingly dictatorial political agenda based around executive tyranny, Jimmy Fallon is helping to massage Obama's image as a down-to-earth, fun-loving guy that you can trust. While Jay Leno savaged Obama in his final weeks as host, one of Fallon's first acts was to afford Michelle Obama the platform on The Tonight Show to push Obamacare talking points. Fallon even once gushed that President Obama booked himself. While the media has pondered on the mystery of Leno being replaced, he enjoyed consistently high ratings for 20 years, the reality is strikingly obvious. As Politico and others have reported, this is part of the changing politics of late-night TV, with the Obama White House now moving to seize control of late-night television, with Fallon acting as little more than a White House spokesman whenever the need arises. You can watch the video above and read the articles below for more background. That is up on Infowars.com and Prisonplanet.com. So just because we're winning the war against CNN and MSNBC, you got to understand, folks, you turn on children's cartoons, it's pushing socialism, anti-family, anti-gun, Obamacare. You turn on NFL, same thing. You turn on late-night shows, it's the same deal. And if you criticize Obama in any way, you're off the air. But then they still kick themselves off the air by not having a message of freedom. And as young people get hit with Obamacare, doubling and tripling their costs, as they get hit with having their hours cut from 40 to 20 hours, as they get hit with all this, they're not going to want to hear from trendy Fallon how great Obama is. The numbers show even young people are deserting him. That's the group Obama says they hope make Obamacare work. They hope you're dumb enough to go be part of this. How can we not have the Republicans repeal this when it's a total win issue? Because they're part of the same power structure. And you point out to liberal Democrats that the Republicans helped write this. It's the Republican and Democratic leadership against the Tea Party. If you people don't wake up to that, you're fools. And I'm talking to mainline Democrats. Is there nothing you people won't buy into? Why? Because you feel like you're a winner because somebody like Fallon, Jimmy Fallon, is cool and he gets up there in a tuxedo and makes jokes, and Obama comes on and they high-five. I mean, this is so cynical. They're preying on you, and admittedly preying on you. While Piers Morgan blasts holes in the Constitution, in the Bill of Rights, in the Declaration of Independence. They are literally trying to blow holes in your basic liberties, in your basic freedoms. So I thought I'd give the number out. What is your take on Piers Morgan? Do you think it's a big victory for liberty? Or just another sign that dinosaur media is on the way out? 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231, and we will get you up and on the air. Are you going to be sad to see him go? Folks, he was already had almost no viewers for the 3 years he was there, and it just got worse and worse. But it's part of a trend across the board. Yes, his slimy, elitist affect only made it that much worse. And he admitted, by the way, I can read the quote for folks out there. It's up on Infowars.com. He said, look, I'm a British guy debating American cultural issues, including guns, which has been very polarizing. And there's no doubt that there are many in the audience who are tired of me banging on about it. But that was your mission. That was your job. So what do? They follow their mission to overthrow our republic. But it still discredits them because they're unpopular, so they lose the hearts and minds. So what are they going to do? They're going to send the Pentagon in to take over the local blogs and media. They're going to try to buy off the alternative media that is the new media. They're going to try to cognitively infiltrate, as Cass Sunstein said at the White House, and cause infighting between different groups of libertarians, real liberals, conservatives, constitutionalists. That's why if you are pro-liberty and anti-NSA spying and anti-aggressive war and anti-victim disarmament, if we can just agree on those libertarian ideas, I don't have to agree with you on every issue. We got to come together and say, hey, we want our Bill of Rights, we want our Constitution. We've got to get to that point. We've got to be able to do that. We've got to be able to come together. and admit that the Republican and Democratic leadership at the top are working together to systematically get rid of checks and balances for offshore corporate interests that have seized much of the nation at the highest levels and are literally extracting us, as Dylan Radigan said. Dylan Radigan's been pretty much a Democrat, folks, but I could watch his show and most of what he said was true because he's a common sense guy that doesn't want to destroy the country. Just like Ron Paul's a Republican, but he's a common sense guy that doesn't want to destroy the country. They're just good people. Now, Bill Maher, Rachel Maddow, people like that are predators, folks, who know what they're doing and are doing a party line. Let's go to this farewell, because we're not going to talk about Piers Morgan after this. I haven't talked about him a lot in the last year since I was on a show. But the Financial Times of London and others say that a record of controversy, Piers Morgan career at CNN. And it begins with, he's been axed because he had terrible ratings. And it goes on. In the second paragraph, it's hard to imagine just what Mr. Morgan thought would happen when he invited Alex Jones, noted conspiracy theorist, gun advocate, and anti-government radio host on a show to talk about the right to keep and bear arms in the July 2012 mass shooting in a movie theater in Aurora, Colorado. And just to stir up further passion, Mr. Jones was behind a petition to deport Mr. Morgan. Mr. Morgan barely managed to get a word in with Mr. Jones, got going, bouncing from mainstream media controversy to rape in India, to Stalin Mao in 1776, commencing again. If there were not enough, Mr. Morgan followed that with a panel debate on whether it was good to shoot Mr. Jones. And then they go on in over 200 articles to cite the beginning of the end of Morgan when he let me on that show. Let's go ahead and go to a compilation.
Anybody that wants to make me unarmed and helpless, people that want to literally create the proven places where more innocents are killed, called gun-free zones, we're going to beat you. We're going to vote you out of office or suck on my machine gun.
That's why you're going to fail, and the establishment knows no matter how much propaganda, the Republic will rise again when you attempt to take our guns.
I think we need to ban gun control laws that keep people from being able to protect themselves.
Anybody that wants to disarm me can drop dead.
The problem is not going to go away if we ban this or that gun. We've tried that. That doesn't work. Doesn't even work in England. You've had mass murders there. All over Europe there have been mass murders. The solution is for people to be able to defend themselves at the point of the crime and not wait for 20 minutes for the police to come after everybody's dead.
Mr. Pratt, was an absolute lie.
I was in the Philippines, physically, the day Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law and made himself a dictator. And the first thing that dictator did, he gave the people of the Philippines 2 weeks to turn in all their guns, or it was the death penalty. Now, why would a dictator do that? Why would he make his #1 priority when he took over as dictator to disarm the public?
My family in the Texas Revolution against Santa Anna, my family was at the core on both sides starting that. Because Santa Anna came to take the guns at Gonzales, Texas. Pierce, don't try what your ancestors did before. Why don't you come to America? I'll take you out shooting. You can become an American and join the Republic.
You finished?
America is not the Wild West that you are depicting. We only have the problem in our cities and unhappily in our schools, where people like you have been able to get laws put on the books that keep people from being able to defend themselves. I honestly don't understand why you would rather have people be victims of a crime than be able to defend themselves. It's incomprehensible.
You're an unbelievably stupid man, aren't you?
It seems to me that you're morally obtuse. You seem to prefer being a victim to being able to prevail over the criminal element.
I'll tell you what, Piers, I have a conceal and carry license. Had I been in there, I would have taken this guy out before he could have killed that many people.
What a ridiculous argument. You have absolutely no coherent argument
Don't
whatsoever.
Let the door hit on your big old fat baboon booty.
You don't give a damn, do you, about the gun murder rate in America?
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Goodbye. We're going to be right back with Max Kaiser to get his take on this. Then we're going to shift gears into your phone calls, get into the so-called polio outbreak in California.
Huge Mountain House sale.
The mainstream media died while you were sleeping.
They came and took it.
And it was an inside job. They killed themselves by spewing establishment rhetoric. And the people are sick and tired of it. We're going to come back in the next segment and go to Phil, Lisa, Eric, Brian, Mohammed, many others. Mohammed's calling from Pakistan, so we'll go to him first. talking about Piers Morgan and the death of the mainstream media. And we're not just saying this, they are dying worldwide. And alternative media, left, right, center, libertarian, doesn't matter, independent is becoming the new dominant. So how is the system going to strike back? I wanted to call Max Kaiser and just see if we were able to snag him, and we were. He's a syndicated host himself and on RT, and, of course, a former top stockbroker. No stranger to this transmission. I know you're a big Piers Morgan admirer, Max. What is your take on his fall?
Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, thanks a lot, Alex. Now you're sending him back here to Britain, where he was already chased out of Britain for an insider trading scandal, for a phone hacking scandal. He went to America. He was on CNN. The only reason he was lasting this long was the interview he did with you. Suddenly his ratings went up, and then he didn't do an interview with you anymore. His ratings crashed, and now you're sending him back here to the UK, and everyone in the UK is crying because this idiot is coming back here where everyone hated him to begin with.
You know, I'm surprised by how many people hate Piers Morgan in England in the polls I've seen. He is a wildly unpopular person everywhere. Why do you think they gave him a show? Because the establishment people like phony hacks like him?
Well, CNN, the whole mainstream media, is really, his ratings are unbelievably low. The CNN's ratings are very, very low. But with Piers Morgan, you know, he faces some follow-up questioning in Operation Weeding. And Operation Weeding is related to the phone hacking scandal, and it has broadened from News of the World, which is Rupert Murdoch's newspaper, to the Sunday Mirror and the Daily Mirror, where Piers Morgan was the editor. And of course, when you were last in the UK, you interviewed my wife, Stacey Herbert, who told you about Piers Morgan's involvement in the phone hacking scandal, and she had direct evidence of that such, and she was asked by UK police to give some evidence. And that never went away. You've got the video that you made here while you were in the UK last time.
That's right. We put it on YouTube.
Yeah. So now when he comes back, he was just questioned again in December of 2013. He has to face additional questions as this inquiry gets deeper. So he's got nowhere to hide. So Piers Morgan involved in the phone hacking scandal, which of course was the tabloids, of which he was a part of, spying on victims of the 7/7 bus bombing. They were spying on the murdered schoolgirl's family, Millie Dowler. So he's really got blood on his hands. He's been discredited. He's been caught phone hacking, breaking the law. So he comes back here to the UK to face the music.
Oh, that's right. And the video is called Stacey Herbert, Victim of Piers Morgan. It's up on Infowars.com. A two-part video, in-depth interview with you and Stacey Herbert. And hopefully soon she'll come on and talk about this as soon as the indictments come down. I mean, that's the word, is that Lord Morgan is going to be indicted soon.
Well, the inquiry continues. He's got dirt on his hands with this situation. His associate, a woman by the name of Tina Weaver, who was the editor of the Sunday Mirror, she's implicated in this. I don't want to say too much because I'm not anxious to participate.
That's right.
Myself.
He might be innocent. This is all alleged. Piers Morgan is a wonderful person.
Right, but so this is all coming down, and it's going to be interesting to see because, of course, as I mentioned, he was also running away from an insider trading scandal when he was editor of his tabloid while he was here. So he's just nobody likes this guy because he's such a slimeball.
What does this say though about the rating slide across the board in state-run media like CNN?
It's hard to imagine why they picked Piers Morgan to begin with, other than there's just tremendous cooperation now in propaganda in the UK and the US. I want to point out that just this past week, Tony Blair admitted in a leak that to Rebecca Brooks, who was also part of the phone hacking scandal, he apparently told her in email that to make the whole situation go away, they should create a Hutton-like inquiry to whitewash the phone hacking scandal. The Hutton inquiry, of course, whitewashed Tony Blair's participation in the Iraq war, genocide, and war crimes.
And then Dr. David Kelly spoke out and was murdered. I want to come back for 5 more minutes, then we're going to go to the calls to get your takes separately on Ukraine, the world economy with Max Kaiser of the Kaiser Report, maxkaiser.com, popping in graciously. Then we're going to go to Muhammad in Pakistan, Brian in Michigan, Eric in Tennessee, Lisa in Oklahoma, Phil in West Virginia, and many others. 800-25-99231 is the call-in number. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. A few more minutes with Max Kaiser, then we're going to your phone calls on not just Piers Morgan, just another sign that the dinosaurs of the state-run media are collapsing. But they're still delusional as ever. They just double down on their anti-gun, anti-family, anti-liberty, pro-war, pro-police state rhetoric. Here's some of the headlines up on Infowars.com. Obama seizes control of late-night TV. Supreme Court refuses to hear Second Amendment case. More news breaking. Obama is Firearms Salesman of the Year. With some of the key graphs, Piers Morgan admits gun control advocacy led to show being axed. Democracy murdered by protests. Ukraine falls to intrigue and violence. Now they're talking about other countries falling along Russia's border. Ron Paul says, leave Ukraine alone. The West should stay out of it. I agree. Ukraine puts out a warrant for the president. That is just some of the news up on Infowars.com. and Prisonplanet.com. If you look at DrudgeReport.com, it's Putin. The Winter Games are over. And continuing, the games are over. Will Putin take the gloves off? For more than 2 weeks while Russia hosted the Winter Olympics, President Vladimir Putin did his best to show the world that he and his country have a soft side. Now that the games are over, Western governments are concerned the smile will disappear and the gloves will come off. That's why they launched the attack during it, the Western Soros attack during it against Ukraine. In Russia, tug of war with Europe over the fate of Ukraine. The circus artists, dancers, and flag bearers hardly had time to leave the stadium after the closing ceremony before Russia announced it had recalled its ambassador from Ukraine from consulates in Moscow. Russian state television said they don't accept the new government as legitimate. And Western governments are saying, do not launch your military into the country. You've got the eastern area that's mainly Russian citizens. You've got the West that was more allied with Germany in World War II. And I understand they have a beef with Russia, but they should know that the euro will suck them dry. And the euro are the ones that spent $5 billion with the State Department fomenting this. And so I'm sure from different perspectives, there's different reasons for this. The point is the detonator, the initiator on all this is the West. Now, I don't know Max Kaiser's take on this, but I know he's lived all over Europe and covered it. So we'll get his take on it. But, you know, I mean, I'm for the Arab Spring, except it got hijacked and in some cases stirred up by the West. What is your view, Max, of what's happening right now in the Ukraine?
Well, you know, Russia, Iran, and China, we've talked about this before. They have a mutual defense pact, I guess you could call it, or it's the Shanghai Cooperation Agreement. And, you know, China, Russia, and Iran share something very interesting in that they don't have central banks that are controlled by the Fed or the IMF or the World Bank. So there's enormous pressure by the central banks of the West to seize these operations of Iran, Russia, and China, because that's a threat to the central bankers. And the central bankers in the West are what feed those enormous bonuses on Wall Street by printing up those trillions of dollars of the quantitative easing. But because Iran, China, and Russia have economies that, well, in the case of Russia, of course, they have huge natural resources, and they don't really need to have a financialized Ponzi scheme like you have on Wall Street. So they don't really need to be part of the confederation of corrupt central banks, whether it's the ECB, the Bank of England, Bank of Japan, the Federal Reserve Bank. So that's where the tension is. And the situation in Ukraine, obviously, it's another hit piece by, you had John McCain down there in the CIA looking to stir trouble. They're looking to seize any assets they can and fund some local CIA-sponsored folks, and game on. The same thing we've seen in Central America, South America, North Africa. This is the global insurrection against banker occupation. As we've been talking about on your show for years, it's just been getting larger and more violent as the central bankers want to protect their monopoly in printing fiat nonsense and giving themselves huge bonuses and letting everyone else starve. What's interesting is that in the Ukraine, on the economics front, the price of food has been going up. We've talked on your show before, Alex, about when the price of food as a percentage of disposable income gets to around 40%, there's usually some kind of violent revolution. We saw it in the Arab Spring. We see it now in Ukraine. We see it in historically going back to the French Revolution. So that's another byproduct of this money printing, is that the poor people who are exposed face to face with the rising food costs as a percentage of disposable income, when it gets to a certain level, they just go into the streets because they've got nothing to lose.
Exactly, Max, but that's the problem. They know when these countries are going to blow up, so the West then triggers its revolution to make sure a real revolution doesn't happen. And so instead of the Russian allied government that's obviously got problems, they're now going to go with the EU, who's already saying they're going to put the Ukraine under debt. I mean, this is...
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So that I'm saying that's what you have at work here. And just, going back to the media collapse in America for a second and the Piers Morgan story, I just wanted to also bring to your attention the comments of Alec Baldwin, who's a friend of mine for 30 years, who just came out today and slammed MSNBC and Huffington Post, the so-called liberal left media in America, as a sham. He called Rachel Maddow basically two-faced. So this is a major admission by somebody who's a huge media presence in the U.S.
Yeah, the headline is "Goodbye to Public Life."
Yeah, well, if you read the details, he's saying that MSNBC is a sham, Rachel Maddow is two-faced, Huffington Post is a sham. They're all basically working for these slime balls at the center of the media cartel. What about the story last week, Alex, of Comcast extorting from Netflix a fee? You remember net neutrality? We didn't want anyone like a Comcast to come in and turn the internet into HBO or turn it into pay-per-view. We wanted it to be end-to-end,
exactly,
and open and free. Now, of course, Comcast has had their way. Netflix is going to have to raise their prices. If your show, because it's on the internet, you're going to have to pay extortion money to your provider of internet services, or suddenly the people trying to get Prisonplanet and AlexJones.com, it's going to be slow. They'll put in the slow.
Exactly, and people are already paying for their download via their internet service. These companies claiming they need to charge somebody for access to their grid is total fraud. And so they're coming after net neutrality. They're coming internet taxes.
Yeah, they've done it instead. Aaron Swartz died for the sins of the corpocracy. But you're coming to Oxford University, Alex. We're doing an interview with you when you're in London. You're going to be taking a victory lap in the United Kingdom. You were here a few months ago. You were on television. You busted the ratings charts of all these shows that never had ratings like with you or on the show ever in their history on the BBC. Now Piers Morgan is dead. The Wicked Witch is dead. You're coming back here for a victory lap, much deserved victory lap in the UK. We want to document it. We want to be there.
Yeah, I'm flattered that Oxford has me speaking at their main end of winter keynote to the faculty and private members of Oxford Hall there.
Well, they didn't invite Piers Morgan. They didn't invite a slime bucket like Piers Morgan because he's...
No, but let me ask you, why do you think the faculty is inviting me to come address them? That's bizarre.
Because you're a media maven. I mean, you've redefined public media in the world.
That's what they said in their letter. They said I'm changing the media, the way the media works. That's what they want me to speak on.
Absolutely. I mean, you've been an inspiration to MaxKaiser.com. You've been an inspiration to our work on television. You've been, people like Luke Rudkowski, who's one of the greatest journalists in the world right now. Where do you think he came from? He came out of the Alex Jones world. So now you're taking a much-deserved victory lap, and I think there's going to be, be on my show.
I do like England. I got to tell you, I really love England. That's why I said I'd come back, because I love the Salisbury Plain. But I was going to live somewhere. Gosh, that's beautiful. Well, listen, Max, we'll talk to you for a full hour soon if you can do it on everything in the world. Thank you so much for popping in.
And my pleasure, Alex. Bye-bye.
There goes Max Kaiser. Now, the guy from Pakistan hung up. He's only been on hold 20 minutes, bro, and I know if he can get back in, I want Muhammad on because I want to get his take internationally on dinosaur media collapsing. But I want to quantify this. Piers Morgan, 350,000 viewers a night on average. This show, 3 million. Terrestrially, 3 million on AM and FM stations. But people are like, oh, well, that's AM and FM. It's people. They're listening. InfoWars, 1 million visitors a day, sometimes more. We're not putting on airs. We're not on these big power trips. When we have audiences, how many times bigger is that? That's an audience like 6, 7, 8 times bigger than Piers Morgan's. I mean, he's pathetic. So he never collapsed. He never exploded, folks. It's an illusion. It's mind control. We're going to go to your calls. Phil, Lisa, Eric, Brian, Mike here in just one moment. First off, we are listener supported. We don't have Monsanto advertising like on every CNN show or MSNBC or Eli Lilly with all their psychotropic drugs. We don't have Adderall advertising here, Speed for Kids. We don't have government ads on here. We don't get stimulus money like MSNBC or NPR. We get funded by the people listening and watching. This is radio. It's really a radio show, but it's grown into TV over the last decade. I started out in TV. So when you buy the books, the videos, the T-shirts, the super high quality, non-GMO, heirloom seeds, the lowest prices at the International Seed Center at InfoWarsStore.com, you get the Molon Labe Pro Gun shirts, whatever it is, of over 500 great items, you are funding our operation Voting Free Will. So get the new Molon Labe, the most handsome Molon Labe shirt out there. Get the 50 cal bottle breacher made by Navy SEALs from made-in-1776.com. The T-shirts made in America. Get the fluoride shield with the nascent iodine and 5 other key things to strip out the heavy metals and toxins. It's really the best deal on the site. Get the Survival Shield proprietary nascent iodine that has done. Look at me. Folks, put me on screen. I am working out less than I was 6 months ago. Because once you get fat and out of shape, even if I was swimming 2 miles and jogging, 3 or 4 miles every other day, I got healthier. My heart, blood pressure, all that real good, but I still had blubber. Soon, I'm going to take my shirt off, folks. I mean, sitting down, I barely have a little pot belly now. It's like a third of what it was. I literally, I mean, look at me. I still got a big round pumpkin head, but I mean, I look good. People are like, whoa, man, what's going on? And I'm telling you, it is the Survival Shield. Like nothing else out there. I mean, if I forget and don't take it 3 times a day, and I take a little bit more than this recommended dose of this, then I just absolutely feel it. It's so incredible compared to all the other iodine out there, and you're helping fund our operation. So that's at InfoWarsLife.com. See, made-in-1776.com, InfoWarsLife.com. They just are URLs that lead you to subpages on InfoWarsStore.com to find the Made in America apparel, made-in-1776.com. To find the 3 supplements we put out. We could have put out already 100, but we go slow. Only bringing you the best. You go to InfoWarsLife.com. But InfoWarsStore.com will get you there, and that's how we fund the operation. So thank you all for your support. Become a PrisonPlanet.tv nightly news member, $5.95 a month. Get 11 memberships you can share with your username passcode. That just pays for the bandwidth and the cameras and the crew. And then it's on Roku and Boxy and a bunch of other platforms, dominating those platforms. We're in the top 5 of all those platforms. iTunes won't really let us on there. There's all sorts of stuff. They won't let Obama deception go on there, even though it's all the specs. They took our money twice and then, to quote, spec it and then refused it. So, I mean, we've gone through a lot here, folks, but it's an uphill battle, but we've now reached the top of the hill. Now we are like a juggernaut. We're aiming how we're going to roll down the hill and smash the enemy. So we need all of you to get on board with your arrows and your slings. And so when we roll down this hill, we're going to take the enemy out. We're now going into offensive assault mode, ladies and gentlemen. And we are barbarians of truth. We're crazed. We're unapologetic. We foam at the mouth a little bit. And that's what it takes to 1776 the enemy, is the eye of the tiger. So InfoWarsStore.com. Buy your war bonds today. I call it mid-air refueling. InfoWarsStore.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Okay, enough of me. We don't have a guest till the bottom of the next hour. The Secret Service is coming after him. They're going to be joining us. Right now, let's go to Phil in West Virginia. Phil, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hey, good afternoon, Alex. Nice to speak to you. This first-time caller. As far as the alternative media, I would say there isn't a media other than the alternative media.
No, I agree. We are the real media, the emerging, legitimate vacuum being filled by there not being a real media, yes.
Yeah, and I listen to talk radio. I mean, I hate to say this. I listen to it way too much. But I choose to listen to you. And you are the tip of the spear. There ain't no doubt about that. But there's other ones around you. So many good men out there just... listen,
I go on a lot of our affiliates, big ones, middle-sized, small ones, Take like Knoxville. We're on a big 100,000-watt FM there. We're also on AM outside town, WBCR, for like 15, 16 years. But the one in town has top ratings. And I've been on their morning show. Those guys are smarter than I am. There are a lot of great hosts out there who I want to challenge those local stations to start simulcasting with video cams their show, and to pay for it, have subscribers enough to then get a crew and build a staff, and then you'll have a real competition of new media, and there will be people that will end up being more successful than I've been. And I'm ready to step aside. Oh, man, I'm so ready. I am so ready to be eclipsed. I am so ready to not be on point. I am so ready to not be walking point, because I'm fearless. But let me tell you, I've really already cheated death with God's good graces and really made the system very angry. And believe me, I'm lucky I'm not dead or in prison. So anytime new blood comes in that's better than me, I'm a platform here ready to lift them up. Go ahead.
Well, we pray for you, man. It's just amazing that all these different groups. Like, I listen to the Hagmans every night. You know, Hagman and Hagman Report. I listen to Steve Quayle whenever he's on.
Yeah, great guy.
Stan Dale. I mean, just the guys that have been. I mean, they have been there throughout the years.
Well, you notice the key to them is they never infight. You know, the real sign is the Cass Sunstein said 6 years ago, the way they're going to take down the real media is they're going to infiltrate us, start groups, and start infighting. And how many times do people that stir up trouble, it turns out, are FBI informants? So you see somebody out there stirring up trouble, making up stuff about other hosts, you ignore them because they're a Fed. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's just like I love John B. Wells. I mean, and what he's trying to do right now.
I love the fact he's doing his own thing, a real trailblazer.
Yeah.
I mean, I advised him. I said, Coast to Coast is really big. I think I would stay there and not do your own thing, but I thought he could do both, but I'm not going to get in the middle of that whole thing. I really enjoyed listening to him Saturday nights, but now he's doing his own thing.
But that's good, because that gives another voice, and he has some great guests on there. He's such a good interviewer.
Exactly. He's a very talented guy. Has a wonderful voice. God bless you. Good to hear from you, Phil. Now I'm going to go to break. I want to get at least Lisa and Eric in this next 6-minute segment. Then we're going to go to Brian, Mike, and many others. Toll-free number is 800-259-9231. And I want to talk about what's going to happen as the dinosaur media fully collapses. Well, Max Kaiser said it. They're going to end net neutrality, net ID, net taxes, federal harassment groups saying you're racist, trying to get you off air, federal licensing of journalists under Feinstein's plan. They're coming for us. But you've already lost the initiative and the moral high ground, turds, talking to Feinstein and others. You're not going to win. The beginning of the end is now here. You don't have our soul. You don't control our minds. You may have a bunch of sheep and lemmings. They don't count. The thinking folks, you've lost us. Well, we got some bad news just minutes ago. One of my favorite comedians, Harold Ramis, of Ghostbusters, Stripes, you name it, a great director and writer. I was on the Man-Cow show like just a year ago, and Harold Ramis was on during the breaks. I was talking to him. That was cool. He's dead. Harold Ramis has died of autoimmune inflammatory vasculitis, his wife told the Chicago Tribune. And there's only one way to send him off, and that is with one of the most eloquent things he's ever talked about, the giant. You can watch that movie 100 times. Let's go ahead and go back to your phone calls. Okay, let's talk to him. Sad to hear he's dead, but that's funny. His humor will live on. Because he wrote that, by the way. Lisa in Oklahoma, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
I'm a listener from Oklahoma, and I believe that the biggest issue down here is the gun control, and Piers Morgan is an ass. I used to watch him at first because he was charming, English, but I'll tell you what, you did a good job. But I'll tell you, I believe CNN, by just hiring this guy, is the biggest help to us for gun control. So, yay, CNN.
Exactly. Obama's been a big plus for the Second Amendment as well. That's the thing. If we resist their tyranny, it backfires on them. Great point. Going to move to more people quick. Great point, Lisa. Let's talk to Eric in Tennessee. You're on the air, Eric.
Hey, Alex. How's it going?
Good, brother. Thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm sorry to hear about Harold Ramis. That's sad, man.
Absolutely. So what is your take on Lord Morgan, the death of his show?
Oh, man. Just like Max said, ding dong, the witch is dead, man. My hat's off to you. My hat's off to, Uncle Ted. My hat's off to Jesse. You guys did a great job just putting him straight. But as far as the media goes, I mean, I'm the same age you are. I mean, grew up listening to Quiet Riot, the whole deal. When I was growing up, we had 2, 4, and 5 on antenna. We didn't even have cable, And now you've got all these choices, and when you watch something, you get a certain view of it depending on which channel you watch. Now, like with Sandy Hook, with all that mess, that was completely staged. I mean, you could tell it from watching it.
Oh, yeah. No, they definitely staged the actors and stuff. I think they really killed some people, but it was definitely a White House production.
Definitely. I mean, they wouldn't have had that one lady close her eyes to leave. She was a nurse, for God's sake. And as far as like...
Well, they'd have actors go, watch this, laughing, and then, like, turn around and go do fake crying. I mean, it was bad, man.
Yeah. And, like, World Trade Center 7, when they showed it on the BBC and they said it had already collapsed.
And then they said we were lying and that video wasn't real. And then later they had to admit it was real. Oh, yeah. We just keep catching state-run media.
Yeah, the media has been controlled by the government for I don't know how long. I would say probably the best part of the past 20 years. So, I mean, it's over for them. I mean, they just can't win with our numbers.
You're right, and that's what the Pentagon said 4 months ago. By the way, we're going to go to break, but Mike in Tennessee, I want to start going to you now. You talk about Al Jazeera. I see that. Yeah. What about Al Jazeera buying Current? They're on all the cable systems. This is literally like the Saudi Arabians and the Qataris and the rest of them. I want to come back and talk about that. Because we don't just have state-run media. We have foreign governments running systems here domestically. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I got over my pneumonia last week, but I've still got a little bit of laryngitis. And so I occasionally have to coffee. All right, we'll be right back with the third hour. Conrad the Constitution is going to be joining us. Affordable Care Act, you look GCN, like a turd. Smell like one, too. Network. The toilet leads to Obama. Be a day long remembered. We've seen the end of Morgan. We'll soon see the end of CNN. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back live. James Earl Jones bringing us into the broadcast. Think of the old days. This is CNN. Not anymore. This is state-run media. This is anti-family, stage shooting media. Let's go ahead and go back to your calls. Coming up in the next segment, I'm going to get into the polio news. The FDA weighs risk of 3-person embryo fertilization. Merkel calls for Britain to remain at the heart of Europe. Cost of Obamacare contract is at least quintupled, kind of like the prices are online to do. Major censorship of people that are called global warming deniers. That is all coming up, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, let's jam in some more ring-a-dingies. Let's talk to Mike in Tennessee, then Brian in Michigan. Mike, you heard me, talking about Al Jazeera. Forget state-run. We've got foreign state-run media here, don't we?
Well, God bless you, Alex. I've been wondering what you thought about Al Jazeera for quite some time. I've seen all the lies and deceit in cable news for so long. When I finally started listening to you a year or two ago, it just kind of confirmed. And you bring a lot of proof and evidence and stuff. You just kind of confirm what I already knew. But now I was always, I don't know. This Al Jazeera comes through, and there's a TV in my life where I get that station, so I kind of just look and see what they're talking about. And I just, don't know what to make of it. It seems like they might be talking about different things other than CNN and Fox talk about. But
Well, here's the thing about Al Jazeera. They're based in Qatar, so they're able to put out some truth, but it's connected to MI6. They've been caught trying to, get behind the Arab Spring. They're real trouble. Al Gore, by the way, took hundreds of millions in oil money to sell his little network that he never should have gotten before. You've got to prove enough ratings to even get a full-time cable channel or a satellite channel. And he didn't have that. It's a total fraud.
I'll flip through the channels, CNN and Fox, every now and then just to see what they're trying to tell us. But, I'm always, not really believing anything they say. I'm just kind of seeing what they're saying. And I guess I was just kind of doing the same with Al Jazeera, but not really knowing what to make.
Well, do you like Al Jazeera? What do you think of it?
Well, I like having another source of news. I certainly wouldn't trust everything that comes from it. Yeah,
same thing with RT. They'll report on the police state here, but not the police state in Russia. And they're not too pro-gun and stuff. And it's just because they'll never get out from under their Soviet brainwashing. But they're pro-state views. But it's still good to have some type of counterbalance. But how about we don't have RT or BBC? I mean, they can still be there if folks want to watch them. How about we have thousands of independent media organizations giving analysis, reporting regionally, internationally. That's what's beginning to happen. And as people fund the new media, we will displace the old media, and that's happening. So, and they're going to try to shut us down and censor us. It's not going to work. Good points. Good to hear from you, Mike. When we come back from break, I'm going to go to Brian, JD, Paul, Chris, and then we got other callers. But I'm going to go to those first. Then I'm going to get into some of that news that I was just mentioning that I haven't gotten to yet. Very, very, very important that we cover some of that. I think we should call that first hour when we put it up on prisonplanet.tv. Piers Morgan caught naked. Or Piers Morgan caught with his pants down. Or Piers Morgan and the Emperor's New Clothes. Or the Piers Morgan hoax implodes. That's probably it. Just the Piers Morgan hoax collapses. Just like the rest of it. It's a bellwether, a rat in the coal mine, little red-eyed, you-know-what house rat. A shill who would come and snivel us into turning our guns in. At the bottom of the hour, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking to one of the Fox brothers who puts out an online animated comedy short that promotes the Constitution called Conrad the Constitution. It's been out for 2 years that we've featured some of the less racy ones here on air. To mainstream standards, none of them are racy, but there's a little bit of potty humor in them. Obama seizes control of late-night TV is one of the articles up on Infowars.com. But Don has his new article up on the site dealing with the fact that Obama assassination animated satire alerts Secret Service. And the Secret Service has been calling their family members and says they're coming to visit them over the satire piece where Obama, who's trying to kill the Constitution, is killed by Conrad the Constitution during a dream, but he's really Abraham Lincoln. And it's obviously not a call to actually kill the president. And the Democrats made all sorts of videos about Bush being killed with films like The Death of a President in 2006, and nothing happened. They had comedians and video games, but we'll see what happens with this in the Secret Service. The video is up on Infowars.com, Season 2, Episode 8. And so, by the way, I am featured in it as well. So I've now arrived being in a Conrad the Constitution piece. By the way, I watch stuff like this when I'm on a Discovery Channel or History Channel show. People go, oh, I saw you on Discovery and History Channel. And I go, really? I go, how was it? Because I don't watch it, even though they sent me a disc of it. I just sat down for 6 episodes of History Channel because the show's not that bad and I can cover, issues of the Illuminati and stuff from history without being compromised. They taped 6 episodes in one night with me in different positions, different chairs, different setups, sitting there talking. And I'm not bragging. It's just I'm not really fascinated with hearing myself talk about stuff. I've said it. I know it. Here it is. I don't watch it. But I do go to drudgereport.com. I do go to worldnetdaily.com. I do go to Conrad the Constitution. I do go listen to other talk show hosts. Even though I disagree with about 5% of what he says, I listen to Michael Savage when I'm out driving around at night or now in the afternoon if I'm doing chores. Because, I am into what's real and what's bona fide. I don't have to totally even agree with it. I just agree with what's independent and is promoting liberty in a basic fashion, going against the grain with the system. Now I'm going to go back to your phone calls from folks talking about Piers Morgan. I told you, folks, his show was canceled the day he took it over. 2 million viewers with Larry King. Within the first year, he was down to below 1 million. 3 years later, folks, 3 years into this, he has a viewership of less than 400,000 on average. To quantify that, it's pathetic. We have that many listeners in about 20 minutes on this show. That's a very conservative number, by the way. We have over 600,000 people that download the podcast every day from the listen page that I don't even promote. We have 360, 70 million views on one YouTube channel, all totaled about 550 million views on our YouTube channels. We have 3 million followers on our different, or likers on our different Facebooks that see our stuff every day. We have, I mean, it's just, just the radio show terrestrially, 3 million a day. 3 million a day. But again, oh my gosh, Piers Morgan. People know who he is, though, because all the other shows play clips when he has a Charlie Sheen on or when he has an Obama on. But other than that, the show itself has almost no viewers. When I go on there and say, red coat, try to take our guns, it's going to be a new revolution, that aired on every channel. That was seen by hundreds of millions. But the show itself does not have a regular long-term audience. And it's unable to steer debate and to push topics out there. The New York Times editorial staff 2 months ago bemoaned in the news, you can pull this up, that they have no relevant effect anymore. In fact, I want to show people that. New York Times admits their editorial pages have no relevance. No relevance in the culture. 50 years ago, total relevance, controlling the discourse. Not the New York Times, drudgereport.com now, like the New York Times could do 50 years ago, can take an interesting local news story, mainstream or alternative, put it out there, and 2 days later, it's a national news story with every dinosaur parroting it or covering it. That's power. That is the fire of Prometheus, ladies and gentlemen. And we, to a certain extent now, are able to put stories out, even if Drudge doesn't carry them. They always hit big if Drudge carries them, and that's the real thrill, is seeing it defeat a gun legislation, defeat an open border legislation, defeat a provision of Obamacare because Drudge picks it up and carries it. Exposing them, Copenhagen and the climate change garbage. Yeah, there it is, MSM collapsing, New York Times now irrelevant according to its own writers. Opinion pieces have no impact on public discourse as status media sinks. That was from February 5th. In another example of how the mainstream media is in a state of collapse, the New York Times' own writers told the newspaper that the New York Times opinion pieces are now seen as irrelevant and have no impact on public discourse whatsoever. And they told that in the New York Observer interview with more than 24 current and former New York Times writers, virtually all of them were unanimous in acknowledging that the old gray lady is dead. Okay? Illegitimate, doesn't matter. And I told Politico this when Rand Paul got elected, and I said, I only talk to you so I can tell you how pathetic you are. And I'm not on a power trip. I don't say you're pathetic, I'm great. No, no, no. I mean, I tell national news now, every week when they send us stuff wanting to come here, I tell them, even if you're a real writer, they're not going to let you publish it. Hey, that's happened a bunch. If it's not a hit piece, it's not going to be published. Only time that didn't happen was with Esquire, because the guy had so much pull there. And he said, no, I think you're a good guy. So I wrote a good piece, and they put it in the back instead of the front. And, you know, I got in a little bit of trouble, but, you know, I got it out there. Everyone else, Wall Street Journal, LA Times, you name it, never comes out if they write a fair piece. They tell me, they go, my God, this never happened. You're right. They killed the piece. They said, you're too dangerous. They're not giving you attention. I don't need your attention, dinosaur. And I told, see, I live in the age of the mammals. I told Politico, I said, listen, you want to hurt Rand Paul, endorse him. You want to hurt me, endorse me. But I said, you won't do that because you're still too arrogant, thinking you run everything and you control everything. And they basically put that in the Politico article. And I'm glad they did because, listen, man, I've been threatened to be murdered by the system. I've had them call up and death threaten me and my family, telling me what I talked about on the phone 10 minutes before. I know how evil this system is. I'm not naive. You think I care about status and being petted by you idiots? I've been doing this 19 years on air, being ridiculed and attacked. Do you think now, at our moment of victory, that I want to be brought in out of the dark to be with you? I don't want to be anywhere near you. Let me tell you, I put my pants on one leg at a time. I'm real. I've got integrity. And when I'm on this show being serious and focused, it's 100% what I believe and 100% what I stand for. And I tell you 100% unvarnished, as best a research as I have, what I believe is going on. All of us see through rose-colored darklies. What the mainstream media is starting to do is taking me as Cobra Commander or the Joker or as the devil when I do these satire pieces every few months. and editing them together saying he's an actor, he's fake, look, he's crazy. People see through that. I like to go and do satire pieces, and I'm going to continue to do satire pieces. And you can sit there and try to say, I'm a crazy person all day. People know the difference between Alex Jones, 100% real right now, and satire pieces. We're going to go to break, come back, go to your calls, get into the polio news, which is really big, and major censorship news. But I'm going to jam in calls from Brian, and then Chris, Paul, JD, Simon, and others. And that'll be all the calls for today we have time for, because we have the makers of Conrad the Constitution, starring Alex Jones, Ron Paul, and the Constitution, joining us. Secret Service has contacted them. The offending video, better see it before they take it down, folks, is up on Infowars.com right now. We're going to be breaking that down. But let's go ahead and get into these articles of censorship first. We're going to break and come back with your calls. This is out of Newsbusters. New York Times cartoon. You can go to their site and see it. Climate change deniers should be stabbed to death. Editorial cartoons often are petty or try to paraphrase Steve Martin's observation at the perils of comedy. But one found in the opinion section of the New York Times is downright ugly. The cartoon, which we want to go to and then link to there on screen if we can do that, folks. I want to show people the cartoon. Again, the headline is New York Times cartoon suggests climate change deniers should be stabbed to death. You click there, you can see the cartoon. Alluding to this year's brutal winter, suggests U.S. Department of Commerce strategies for dealing with 2014 icicle surplus. Among them are using icicles as locally sourced hydration devices, temporary doorstops, and brain teasers for dogs. Then comes a suggestion of one immediately looks at it again in disgusting disbelief. Icicles can be used as self-destructing sabers for dispatching climate change deniers. So there you go. You need to kill people look, the guy that's a climate change denier is a white male with a cigar. Classic communist propaganda. Why not put a top hat on him? Because it is about wealth redistribution with a carbon tax on everything that'll actually hurt the poor the worst. So just classic communist crap out of the robber baron-run New York Times. And here's another one. This is out of Fox News. Heating up. Climate change advocates try to silence Krauthammer. That's right. They've called in a petition for him to be fired for saying, I'm not a global warming believer. I'm not a global warming denier. I'm allowed to question it. Oh, no, you're not allowed to question. It's like the mayor or the governor of New York says, if you're pro-life or pro-gun, get out of the state. These people aren't tolerant. Believe what they believe or hit the road. Take the FCC in your newsroom. Let them tell you what to do. So that's in the censorship file today. I'm Alex Jones with Infowars.com. We are the real media.
Uncover a simple...
The joke it is how the government ships in the drugs to the big banks on record. No one debates it. And if they catch your high school student with any drugs, they'll throw them in jail where they get abused by a bunch of hardened criminals and get made to join a gang so they can then be pushers for the big banks. They can break in your house and rob you to buy more of the overpriced products because of the black market. That's how the New World Order rolls. Brian, what do you make of the mainstream dinosaur whore media, prostitute media, and free fall at every level? The nice cherry on top being loving Piers Morgan.
Well, Alex, I got to say that finding out that Piers Morgan is not going to be on TV anymore is like finding $50 in a coat you haven't worn in a year.
That's a great way to put it. It is. I think it's better than that. It's like finding $100.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all Federal Reserve notes anyway, so it's not worth that much. But really, I think that the biggest thing, aside from them discrediting themselves, is the apathy in this country. You know, you watch those Mark Dice Man on the Street videos and just see, you know, people they're completely disengaged.
Well, that is California, and that's the future man. Someone who can hardly talk. And if you say, for Obama, we're going to kill all conservatives. And they go, oh, yes. And he goes, we're going to kill him now. And they go, I want to kill him. And they're ready. They're ready to literally put us in forced labor camps. And then they'll waddle around in black uniforms above us.
Yeah, you know, well, not me, because I ain't going to...
Well, fighting against a liberal trendy when you're in a death camp and they're raping your wife is treason.
That's fine. I'm a traitor.
You need to bow to people that can't even talk, who watch Rachel Maddow and she tells them how smart they are over and over again. Great point, Brian. Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. You know, I just want to say ditto. You know, I don't want to take up all your time. So thanks.
Well, you're awesome, Brian. Good to hear from you. Let's talk to another evil person, Chris in Kentucky. He's probably white, too, folks. The question is, are you racist? And the answer is, are you white? Did you wake up this morning? Yes. Chris, do you want to apologize? Are you white?
Oh, yes, I am a white. I tell you, I must be a terrorist. I'm everything.
I knew it. Go ahead, racist.
Okay. Anyway, about the mainstream media, this is hopefully people, more and more people, I think, are starting to wake up. They know they're in trouble. Bottom line is, mainstream media has gotten nothing to be entertainment. You got your info babes doing this, who's cooking shows on the weekend. I mean, that's not news anymore. People are figuring it out. It's time. I talk to people and generally out here saying they're sick of mainstream news because the reality they're beginning to see, and a lot of people are waking up. I mean, we're scaring them out of here. We're getting them out of here. It's time.
That's right. And then they all still pose on their big sets like everyone's watching them. It's all a facade that they have the moral authority, that they're the boss. And then the White House-run Media Matters with no viewers or readers is always lecturing media who to have on and who not. We're the boss. We're the authoritarian left. You're not going to do what we say and watch us? Look at Mr. Maddow. Isn't he handsome?
Exactly. And, in our local media, all they talk about is murders and arrests on people. I mean, that's not news anymore. I mean, let's get real, folks.
Yeah, they should be talking about fluoride in your water and government corruption or how the sheriff stood up for the Second Amendment. Good to hear from you, Chris. Let's talk to Paul in the UK. That's the United Kingdom. What do you think of Lord Morgan?
I think he's a bit of a nitwit, to be honest with you, coming from a country that is very disarmed, and basically I'm firearms trained myself. I used to be a Navy cadet, and I know how to use firearms, and I know ex-police that they say that gun control does not work now, and basically it's gone up 200% gun crime, and there's roughly 2,034 crimes per 100,000 in the UK consecutively, where there's 466 crimes per 100,000, and this is in America, where they still stay true to the principles of liberty and freedom that we've lost in these isles. And
by the way, I was about to say, you guys had a low crime rate because you were a genteel, law-abiding society like Switzerland. They took the guns, and your crime, I was reading, went up tenfold in most areas. The muggings, the stabbings, and the people aren't allowed to defend themselves.
Yeah, but basically on this issue, I was there are organisations in the UK that want to keep, that want to restore the right to keep and bear arms in this country as a whole. But since Switzerland adopted our model in the 1500s, which is 500 years, they've never been invaded in 500 years. Dictators and other people would never even mutter the S word in their battle plans anyway.
Well said, sir. God bless you, and thank you for calling. Yeah, they always make it an anti-British thing or anti-UK thing, this whole gun debate. The Magna Carta and then later other acts, the right for the citizens to have weapons, came out of England and became the model for the Dutch and then the folks in Switzerland. That's actually true. And the people that were fighting for liberty here had big support in England in 1776. We'll be right back. Don't forget, my friends, this hour was brought to you by mypatriotsupply.com/Alex, where you find incredibly high-quality, storable foods. It's important to not be dependent on the system. We've got great customer service, last 25 years, super high quality. mypatriotsupply.com/Alex to find their specials. And they have a toll-free number, 866-229-0927, 866-229-0927, mypatriotsupply.com/Alex. And did I mention it's non-GMO? And speaking of being prepared, ladies and gentlemen, the spring is coming during this very dark winter of our discontent and of tyranny, but physically very cold as well. We have the giant InfoWars Seed Center with all the highest quality brands of non-GMO, non-hybrid, open-pollinated seeds. The InfoWars Seed Center has the widest selection of the highest quality non-GMO seeds that produce more seeds, and then more seeds, and then more seeds, from all the best companies out there, including the Survival Seed Vault, put out by My Patriot Supply, I should add. And we have it at the lowest authorized price that we can buy it from these companies. We have to sign deals. We can sell it at the lowest price available anywhere. Okay, and that's what we have there. And then you support the broadcast, but more importantly, you can commit now, buy it before spring gets here, and then have your spring, summer, and then late summer, fall garden. And they've got it from just the basic staples or right through to fruit trees, you name it, InfoWarsStore.com. Click on the InfoWars Seed Center. And I'm going to do something this year and even show video of it, because this is something that was actually done in other. Johnny Appleseed did this in 4 different states. And it was a European tradition that the systems would try to not let the serfs produce enough food. But they would then sneak into the king's land, which was about 90% usually, and would quietly plant fruit trees, quietly plant vegetables and things separately, because they could only use a tiny plot of what they had, and then that was surveilled and taxed. So people would plant in the rural areas. And I'm going to go out with the film crew on some of the hike and bike trails and some of the highway areas up in the trees, and I'm going to plant fruit trees. I'm going to plant pumpkin patches, depending on the topography. I'm going to plant tomato plants, pepper plants, and then I'm going to go harvest them guerrilla gardening. Guerrilla gardening. So it's something very exciting to do. Now is the time. They don't want you doing it, so you need to do it. InfoWarsStore.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Or go to MyPatriotSupply.com/Alex, and they got a good, we sell their brand, the stuff they put together. It's really good. So get it from them. I don't care. Just get the seeds, folks. Get them out to people. Now, we are going to get into an issue of the First Amendment and how far does the First Amendment go to protect what you say. There have been cases in the news like death of a president that came out in 2006 that basically lionized a fictional character for killing President Bush. And it is about the trial of the person that kills President George W. Bush. And they've had comedians that have come out and talked about killing George Bush and things like that. And as long as you're not seriously saying kill them, or you're not calling for others to kill them, I believe it's protected speech. And the Secret Service has operated as if it is. They do go out and assess to see if you seriously wanted harm to come to those people. Now, we have an article up on Infowars.com dealing with the Fox Brothers studios that are very talented, who've put out now 2 seasons of Obama doing battle with Conrad the Constitution. And I and Ron Paul and others have featured in some of their past episodes. Some have gotten millions of views, others just tens of thousands. But the point is, Obama assassination, animated satire alerts, Secret Service. So Secret Service responds to animation cartoon, basically, is what's happened. Paranoid national security state continues intimidation of dissenting media voices. The creators of the YouTube animated series, Conrad the Constitution, say they've been paid a visit by the Secret Service concerning their latest work. Well, family's been called by them. They say they're getting a visit entitled Obama Assassination. And clearly it is satire. They contacted us, and so we got them on in the email and said, I just wanted to let you guys know the Secret Service has been in contact with my family and is coming to interview me soon about our latest episode. If I end up disappearing, you'll know why, the email states, and that's from Tim Fox. We've got Tim Fox via phone and Jay Fox, his brother, via, or other way around. We have, give me a printout and let me know. Bring me a printout, and when you bring me one, I'll know, and then I'll go off that. Anyways, what I was saying is we have them on the line with us, and we're going to be getting them on the transmission with us coming up here in just a few minutes. But first, I wanted to air and then give some commentary for radio listeners, the latest episode, Season 2, Episode 8 of Conrad the Constitution. And so here is the newest thought crime. And remember, earlier I covered these articles. New York Times cartoon suggests climate change deniers should be stabbed to death. And Buzz Bissinger and Piers Morgan said I should be shot, and they agreed that they wanted to kill me. And now they're calling for Krauthammer in a petition to be fired, Democrats are, because he questioned global warming in the Washington Post column. And the New York Times is also going along with that as well. So this is where we're going in this country. So let's go ahead and play Season 2, Episode 8 of Conrad the Constitution.
Wow, Ron, you really have some neat things in here.
Now be careful, Conrad. There are some things you shouldn't touch in here.
That's Ron Paul.
Ooh, can I have this, Ron?
Put that down, Conrad.
Come on, Ron, pretty please.
It's
Conrad,
RPG.
put that down.
I really need to come over more often. This is cool.
Conrad, get the hell over here where I can keep my eyes on you.
They're in an armory, Ron Paul's armory.
Conrad, get out of there.
I wonder what this button does.
In a time machine for the year 2020. Everything's like Chicago.
Baldy, where are we?
Burning city, drones everywhere.
Oh, no, Baldy.
Drug dealers everywhere.
Wait a minute, this isn't Detroit. We're in the future, Baldy.
And the drone picks up he's the Constitution. That's illegal.
Give me all your money.
Whoa.
Guy with a knife.
You picked the wrong person to mug, you punk.
Oh, he's got a gun.
Oh, you're
Defend
in trouble
himself.
now, man.
Yeah, they don't care about criminals. They don't care about guns.
The criminal went that way, officers. He tried to mug me, but luckily I was carrying my gun.
They taser the enemy who's carrying a Colt 911 45.
Suspect down. Retrieve the contraband.
Hey, now, what the hell do you think you're doing with my gun? Hey, you owe me a new handgun, buddy.
Citizens can't have guns. You're coming with us.
What the hell is going on? Haven't you heard of my Second Amendment?
What's that?
Oh, God, Baldy. Things sure went downhill in 6 years. I don't think I can take much more of this, Baldy. I need some fresh air.
Conrad.
Ron Paul's getting me and getting Alex Jones and the bald eagle out. Ron Paul saves us.
Hey, Ron, who's driving?
Ron Paul's got an M4.
Conrad?
No, I'm not.
Your future self is.
My God, I look like hell. What happened?
Obama shredded you, Conrad. I pieced you back together as best I could, but some amendments are gone forever.
That son of a bitch.
Conrad's house is totally infested with trendies.
Since you have a time machine, can't we fix all of this, Ron?
Yes, but it's not going to be easy.
Well, what is it? I'll do anything. You have to go back in time and assassinate Obama. Excuse me? Assassinate Obama.
Future Conrad is right. I don't see any other way.
Won't I get in a lot of trouble for that?
Stop being weak!
All right, Conrad. I'm sending you back to the night before Obama.
By the way, I don't want Obama to be assassinated.
Obama will be attending a community theater production of Grease.
That'll actually turn him into a hero. We don't want that. We're going to destroy him like Piers Morgan. And then later indict him for Fast and Furious and Benghazi.
Hey, Chris, was I supposed to get the Colombian hookers tonight?
Yeah, the Secret Service is busy getting hookers, so they don't see Conrad going in with a musket.
Here goes nothing, Baldy.
And again, it's Lincoln-esque.
Six Semper Tyrannis. Six Semper Tyrannis.
I guess that translates into this for all tyrants, I think. What did John Wilkes Booth say? This for all tyrants or something like that?
I did it, Ron.
Yeah, thus always for tyrants.
What the hell are you talking about, Conrad?
I just had a dream.
I traveled in your time machine to assassinate Obama.
Time machine? I don't have a time machine.
Well, see, it's okay because it's all a dream.
Passed out from all these paint fumes. Conrad, get the hell over here where I can keep my eyes on you.
Oh, so it was a dream. Well, I guess that makes sense. I mean, I wouldn't assassinate anyone without due process.
See, exactly.
Who would do a thing like that?
Exactly. NDAA.
Now.
All right, and we're joined by the thought criminals. I mean, clearly it's a satire piece saying, you know, thus all tyrants go, basically, and pointing out that Obama is the one that kills people without due process with the drones, with the NDAA, including U.S. citizens. And so it's really good dark satire, totally protected from every angle, in my view. But I want to be clear, we're not calling for any harm to come to Obama. He's just a high-level puppet. But it is serious satire like this that will draw attention to the hypocrisy. Now, joining us on Skype is Tim Fox and his brother Jay Fox on the phone. Tim, first off, your family's been contacted by the Secret Service. Have they come after you as a thought criminal yet? Have they visited you yet?
Yes. Thank you for having me on, Alex. It's good to be on. And yes, the Secret Service did visit me.
So since we got your email last night, they've come. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, they came to my parents' home, and my dad gave me a call and said, "Hey, the Secret Service is here to talk to you." And at first, I was like, "Sure, Dad." I was pretty sure he was joking with me, but
I thought you had some hookers.
Like, no, they're really here, and they want to talk with you. And so I was like, oh, okay. And so the next, that was on Friday night that they came there. And then Saturday at 12, they came to our apartment here in LA and interviewed me.
So do we have their illustrious names?
I don't have the names on me now.
Well, that's okay. So tell us what they said.
They first they came to the door. They said, "I think you probably know why we're here. Are you one of the Fox brothers?" I was like, "Yes." They're like, "You're with Conrad the Constitution?" Like, "Yes, I know why you're here." And she said, "Yeah, Secret Service." Showed me her badge, and they came in. They just wanted to talk. They said about the episode because they had been getting a lot of calls or emails, I assume, from concerned citizens.
Yeah, good little snitches. Well, I mean, the issue is it's a public video, and it's clearly satire, and it's clearly a bad dream he had where he said, "I don't kill people without due process. We would never do that." But then you point out Obama's doing exactly what's wrong. I mean, that's the essence of it, right?
That's exactly what we were going for. And I explained that to them, that of course, we would never want any harm to come to the president. It's clearly satire, and that we're trying to point out the hypocrisy of how our president will just assassinate American citizens without any due process that has been given to them by their Constitution. And just what's going on. I mean, in today's day and age, you kind of have to do something a little edgy to draw people in. So that's
well said. Well, we'll update the article. You've now officially been visited. So how long were they there? What else did they say?
They were here about probably 5 minutes. Seemed longer when you're getting interviewed by the Secret Service. But, yeah, they basically said, we don't believe you're an issue. Both of us don't think it's a real problem, but we are supposed to come out and, do a follow-up just to make sure.
Sure. I mean, if you wouldn't have had Conrad saying it's wrong to kill the president at the end, you might have started to have an issue. But clearly, you're saying it's wrong to kill the president until he's been found guilty of high treason. And I got to be honest, folks, I don't wish any harm upon the puppet because that lionizes him. But, I mean, the stuff they've been committing against this country is high treason. And if they ever had real trials, it'd be Nuremberg. I mean, I'm sorry. They'd be hanging most of his administration. But I'm not calling for that. I'm just saying, like it is, they've all committed crimes against this country that are high crimes, and no one can debate that. Fast and Furious, Benghazi, the list goes on and on. Now, let's bring in your thought crime brother. Did you get a visit as well, Jay, or did just your brother Tim get it?
You know, actually, so far I've avoided being visited by the Secret Service. They first came to my parents' house, and at that point in time, I was up in L.A. With Tim. But later that night, I drove down to San Diego, so they missed their opportunity to talk to me.
Well, how dare you talk about the Lord and Savior, as Jamie Foxx calls him. This video is going to end up going viral. I think it's going to backfire on the tattletales. What do you think?
Oh, that would be great. That would be, you know, we definitely we would love to get our message out there to as many people as possible. And you know, obviously, like you've been saying, we're not trying to say that Obama should be assassinated or anything. We're saying the exact opposite. But you shouldn't be assassinating American citizens.
And Conrad says it's wrong to kill the president without due process. And I totally agree with that. And again, there's a lot of people worse than Obama above him. He literally is a puppet. I want to come back in the next segment and just have any thoughts you guys want to add here. But, I mean, I think you've done a really great job with these Conrad the Constitution videos, animated shorts. And I think it's good for young people who are, you know, into more comedy-oriented stuff. So I hope this does backfire on them big time. But there you go. We'll have more with the creators of Conrad the Constitution straight ahead. I'm worried they could stage a fake assassination attempt on Obama as a false flag. That's the kind of stuff that could save his bacon. So the last thing we want is anybody going after Obama, or whatever his name is.
My name is Jessica Armand. I'm an...
Joining us from the California studios of the Fox brothers, the incredible thought criminals join us. Tim Fox and Jay Fox of Conrad the Constitution. All right, Tim joining us via Skype and Jay on phone. Other points. You guys got the floor for the 6 minutes. What do you want to relay about your experience and where all this is going? When you dovetail it with Dinesh D'Souza being arrested, governors that don't toe the line being arrested, calls for FCC people even in newsrooms of print publications. I mean, this looks like a reign of terror.
Jay, you want to take that or you want me to go?
You know what? Yeah, I'll touch on that. You know, it is very concerning. You know, these events have been occurring as far as that relate to the First Amendment and freedom of the press. And of course, my brother and I are kind of concerned that something like that could happen to us, but we're not going to let that get in the way of keep us from getting our message out there. So we'll keep making videos.
Sure, sure. Well, it's satire to point out he's killing people without due process. And some idiots out there don't get it and think you're being provocateurs. Tim, what's your take on what I just asked?
Oh, yeah, exactly what you're saying. It's really scary. And I think what's even scarier is just the people like my age and Jay's age and the friends we talk to. I think a lot of our generation, which scares me, don't realize the rights we have within the Constitution. Because I'll talk to people that I recently just talked to about being visited by the Secret Service and about my video. They're like, well, are they going to make you take it down? Or are you going to take it down? Like, no, they can't make me take it down. There's this thing, it's called the First Amendment. I'm well within my rights, and I think that's why me and Jay started this show, was just to try and educate everyone, but mostly point it towards the younger generation so that they realize that we do have a Constitution. While it might be getting chipped away every day, or not might be, but is, it's still there, and we have to educate everyone about it.
And we have to restore it. Now, what? Anything else the Secret Service asked you? What type of questions did they ask you?
Basically, they asked. They had this list of questions that they typically ask. And
are you planning to attack the president? Are you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The first, like, are you planning to assassinate the president or have any plans to? And they were even like, I'm sure your answers are probably no. But, and of course they were no. And also, if you're a part of any hate groups, Well, they
list the founding fathers as hate groups, so I guess you are.
Well, yeah,
Are you a veteran? Because you're in a hate group then.
No, I'm not a veteran, but...
well, that's good. You're not a hate group. Okay, good.
Yeah, so I was able to get by that question, and that was pretty much it.
Well, what's coming up next for Conrad, Tim and Jay? What's the next episode going to be about?
Well, we're not too sure right now. We're just going to sit back and watch what happens, and I'm sure there'll be something that happens that will violate Conrad, so... These politicians are really writing the show for us. There's unfortunately too much content, for the
You
show.
could have Obama walking around in it telling people, you didn't write that essay, you didn't build that building. And then, and then everybody goes, Obama did, Obama did. And then literally he's like a queen bee ant or something, and the whole world just comes out of his rear end or something. Maybe that, like everything, just assembly lines, you name it. It's like it's a Costco.
Yeah, the you didn't build that comment, that was pretty funny.
I'd like to see one with that, yeah, where he's like a giant, or maybe Michelle Obama's really building it, and she's like a giant alien queen with this huge bloated belly. And like everything, aircraft carriers, you know, you name it, poetry, classical music, it all just comes out of there. All right, guys, great job with Conrad the Constitution. You are true thought criminals. No, great job. Folks can find your YouTube linking through at Infowars.com. The video's up there right now. I'm out of time. Sorry the other callers. Nightly News tonight, 7. I'll be on it. 7 o'clock. Prisonplanet.tv. Prisonplanet.tv. Great job, crew. Hi, folks. Alex Jones here with some important